Okay. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the first session in our three-part Lux University Fall Training Series. My name is Brooke Ipis, and I am part of the sales and marketing team here at Luxen, and I'm excited to kick things off with you guys today as we launch our first of many training opportunities that are designed to help you guys get even more out of your NetSuite investment. I'm also excited to introduce Randy Hart, our Director of Managed Services. He's joining us for today's session to walk us through NetSuite CRM. Randy has over 15 years of NetSuite experience and firsthand experience with NetSuite CRM as a former user. And Randy brings a wealth of practical insights that will make today's training both informative and actionable. All right, well, let's kick things off with our agenda here. All right, so first things first, I'll kind of walk you through what our upcoming fall series looks like. Randy will go through some of our common sales challenges, why NetSuite CRM, and then get into a CRM demo. And then I'll walk through CRM user pricing, and we'll get into some question and answers. All right, so first things first, our session today, I'm looking at the power of NetSuite CRM. Our next one that we have coming up is Dashboards That Drive Decisions on October 16th. So get excited for all things dashboards. And then finally, we'll be closing out the fall series here, getting ready for inventory season. So keeping inventory merry and bright, and that will actually be a two-part series. So stay tuned for more dates. All right, with that, Randy, I will pass it to you.
Great, thanks, Brooke. So hello, everyone. As Brooke mentioned, I'm Randall Hart. I'm the Director of Managed Services here at Luxent, and we're going to go through some of the things that are common sales challenges across the NetSuite user base. So let's talk through the first one, which is data visibility. A lot of customers and clients that I've worked with over the years talk about the fact that they have disparate systems when it comes to sales. So they're using a CRM specific tool, a marketing specific tool. They have NetSuite for accounting and inventory management, and some sales reps in the field using Excel spreadsheets to map their call logs or Outlook. And what it all ends up boiling down to is a lack of visibility for the actual sales reps of things that matter to their day-to-day. What are my top sales? What items do I have available to sell? How quickly can I turn this around? Can I answer a phone call and just very quickly view their information? And are they with collections? So data visibility across everything ends up being a big challenge. And you can see in the next one how that feeds into the holistic internal visibility. So when accounting is working on invoicing or customer service is handling issues and inventory manufacturing are planning what they're going to have to build within a certain time frame. So knowing what items are available when. All of this, again, comes in as we have disparate teams and disparate systems. And the end result for the sales reps, which is the most common challenge that we hear, is time efficiency. How quickly can I turn a conversation into a sale? How quickly can I find out what I have to sell? Can I do my job as a rep real quick and real accurately without having to tell a client, I'll call you back, getting with accounting, getting with manufacturing, getting with operations? And it takes away from the primary goal of a sales rep, which is customer interaction and customer focus. So these are some of the most common sales challenges. By no means are they all sales challenges that our clients exhibit, but these are some of the most common ones that we see. So that ends up feeding into why do we want to look at NetSuite for CRM and Salesforce automation? Why are we looking at our ERP system and not a dedicated outside or external CRM and marketing tool? Well, the first one, the biggest one, is the 360-degree customer visibility. Because NetSuite contains your manufacturing, your inventory, your accounting, your AR, being able to have a single source of truth where everything exists unifies your entire organization and allows sales to see what they need to see at a at the moment in real time to be able to turn that interaction with that customer potentially into a sale. The fact that the lead to cash processes are all internal in NetSuite with inventory means that your internal planning is more accurate because we have opportunities, we have quotes, the actual orders, renewal information, and renewal data on anything that's subscription based. All of that feeds into our manufacturing for demand planning. It feeds into our accounting forecasts. It feeds into how quickly can invoices get out for us to recognize cash or recognize AR. All of this really helps to streamline our team's businesses. It gives us, again, as part of that, better forecasting and reporting. So when a rep puts in an order and says this is when this customer's wanted that, our manufacturing team gets it and can forecast demand. And based on the fulfillment time frame, can accurately calculate when we're going to see the revenue from this. Can we not fulfill this for another quarter or another month? So how quickly can we turn that around? When is my revenue going to be coming in real time versus a closed sale? So I can see my probability forecasts and cash when cash is going to come in. So it gives you a lot of better forecasting and reporting. Outside of the data side, what we get with this as a benefit is the fact that CRM and SFA are native to NetSuite. Every single edition of NetSuite, from the lowest financials first to the most advanced manufacturing or recurring client software, etc., all comes with NetSuite CRM and SFA baked into the platform. There's no additional module. There's no additional cost outside of the user access to it to be able to run all of this integrated in your system. And because NetSuite is built to be so scalable from a transaction perspective, from a client management perspective, it scales with you. So there's no need to, at a certain period of time, we've hit XYZ volume in terms of what we can do transactionally or what we can do with number of customers, right? NetSuite will scale with you as you grow. Brooke, next slide. Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about the features of NetSuite CRM. So there are kind of a couple of components in here that make up NetSuite CRM, which is the Salesforce automation aspect. So we have someone who comes in as a lead. How are we going to move them along this pipeline? How do we get quotes to them? How do we forecast against them, prospect them, turn them into a client via transactions? Then we have marketing automation, which in NetSuite is, I think, kind of an underutilized tool set. Because while there are limitations on the number of emails that can be sent out and a few other little pieces in marketing, the ability to link and create a campaign against a particular transaction in NetSuite, even if we're not doing any of the most fancy email marketing aspects coming out of NetSuite, really gives you a much better way to track ROI and spend against your marketing initiatives and to know what is truly working and what is not from a cash perspective, from an accounting perspective, instead of just how many clicks did I get on this, how many orders did I get from this. We can directly tie revenue on specific invoices back to the campaign that was related to them. And then the last piece that makes up NetSuite CRM or customer relationship management is actual customer service management. So cases, phone calls, tasks, credits. The system has the ability to log all of these things against, what NetSuite calls support cases, what your teams might recognize as something like tickets, where you can link it to specific transactions from both an accounting, sales, and manufacturing or inventory management aspect so that you have a greater depth of data to understand each issue that your customer brings to you and figure out ways to mitigate that across the organization. This can lead to, less loss, less returns, less rework, less time for accounting to rebuild billing schedules and things like that, because you can link cases directly to any record in NetSuite to follow up on across any version of your teams. Okay, so we're going to get into the demo now. Here's what we're going to cover during this demonstration. We're going to talk very briefly about customizing a dashboard to be relevant for the sales team. So one of the pieces that we tend not to see so much in training and demos like this is context on what you can put where and why that's helpful to you. We're going to talk about managing sales activities and key performance indicators and how we can drive that directly from the dashboard to help your sales team only have one place where they need to go to get access to what they have to do and what they need to see. We're going to talk about accessing customer records and the different available views for the sales teams so that you can see better ways to manage your customers. Then we're going to talk a little bit about leads, opportunities, and quotes, how those work, some different options on how to use them based on your type of organization. And then we're going to talk about creating sales orders and viewing the updates to the customers from there. All right, so Brooke, I think it's my turn to take over sharing and dive into the demo, yeah?
It is. Over to you now.
Perfect. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me know, Brooke, if we can see it.
All set.
Excellent. So I'm in a manufacturing environment. This is NetSuite's Stairway to Manufacturing Premium Edition. This demo set has an awful lot of really good manufacturing data, really good item data. So this demo is going to come more from a product management perspective. But if you have need of something that's more tailored to, let's say, software or nonprofit or something that is not necessarily product specific, please feel free to reach out to us. I'm happy to go through that with you. So when we start from the dashboard, anyone who's familiar with NetSuite kind of understands what these things look like. You have different portlets that contain different information, different links. So let's talk about how we make this useful for a sales team. So the place we start, where I kind of lived when I was a sales rep leveraging NetSuite, is this reminders portlet on the left-hand side. The reason that I lived here is because this told me what I needed to focus on immediately for my day. In this specific account, we have this set up as kind of an overview, maybe something that a sales manager or sales executive might want to see, but the core concept of what should I take action with on my day is what makes reminders useful. So, for example, here, we have 420 leads, prospects, and customers with no sales activity within a certain period of time. So as a sales manager, this is an awful lot of customers to me, awful lot of leads, prospects. So I can dig into this and look to see who's been doing what. From an individual rep perspective, this is helpful to know, hey, it's been X amount of days, and as part of my follow-up with these leads, I don't want my leads to go more than 30 days without some form of activity from me, without an email, without a logged phone call, without a re-preparation of a quote. So again, can drive activity. Then we have the task to complete. And we're going to take a look at this very quickly because tasks and phone calls are things that you can leverage in NetSuite as sort of sales, I think Salesforce calls them like sales activities, sales tasks, right? It gives you the ability to log, hey, I need to do something for a specific client, and communicate that information to other people within the organization, just like any other CRM tool would, where management can see what tasks certain reps have available, where follow-ups can be built just on customers that show up after a period of time. So when I look at this task, I can see real quick, I made a note, hey, I've got to call these guys back. I added, what date it was required. Was there a time? Did I want to block it off on my calendar in NetSuite and reserve time? And then this related records is where things get really helpful. Because just like any other CRM tool, having a task, having a note that you have to go do something doesn't really matter unless you have the follow-up information to it. So here, if they were talking about specific items, I could put a specific item in here. If it was related to an existing order, I could put the transaction in here. If there was a specific person as opposed to just a company, I could put that person in here. So lots of data that I can do that you can't normally do in other systems. You can't specify a task or a phone call to an item or to a BOM revision in other systems. If you're using a different case management system than CRM system, right, you can't link a specific task or activity to that ticket. All of that you can do in NetSuite. And I can put any messages in here I want. And it really gives me the ability to go through a number of things that I wasn't able to do in other systems all at once. So when I come back to my dashboard, right, because I live here, I do my work here, if I had marked that task as done, it would get flagged off here and I would not have any tasks to complete for the day. So what's going to drive my next thing? Well, opportunities to close. These are, hey, I've been working with this client, we're negotiating and I need to follow up. There are 8 new customers, so 8 customers that have closed things. Hey, I've got 1,400 items on back order. Okay, that means that a bunch of my transactions aren't being filled. So let me look at this. Let me follow up with operations or with manufacturing. So again, different tools to drive my day-to-day activity. And that's going to tie into the rest of our dashboard. So what do we use the rest of our dashboard for to do things with this? This environment has the wonderful tiles, which give really quick access to doing whatever you decide you want your sales reps to do. So if we want them creating new leads very quickly, if we want to do transactions very quickly, opportunities very quickly, we can put the tiles on the dashboard and it's really a simplified visual way to get where you're trying to go at speed. So you look at your reminders, what do I have to do? Okay, what does that translate into action-wise? Then we have shortcuts. Shortcuts are nice because it gives you the ability to look at things very quickly. So if I have a specific set of business, I have my 5 clients that I deal with, I can create something and go put it as a shortcut and get there very quickly. Or I can put all 5 of my clients as direct shortcuts. So right here you see Abbott. Let's say that I do half my day every day working with different people at Abbott. I want to be able to get to that customer record very quickly. I don't want to have to look it up in a search. I don't want to have to go through different ways to find it. I can put this link right here, click on it, and it will take me directly to that customer record. Sorry, it looks like Teams is taking up a little bit of bandwidth, so this will jump on in just a second. Oh. Okay. Well, that took me to a new customer record, so I'm just going to show you real quick. This is also how you can find a customer in case you ever run into an issue where your shortcuts don't work. So looking at Abbott, there are a couple of different ways to view the customer record in NetSuite. And we talked a little bit about them in the schedule for the demo, that there are actually different views that are available to sales reps. A lot of times when we come through and we're talking to people who have NetSuite, it's a lot of accounting folks, it's executive leadership, and they're only very much aware that records look like this. So while this is helpful in terms of all of my information's here, sometimes for sales reps, it can be a little difficult to come in and learn where all the navigation is. So NetSuite has created sort of 2 additional views to simplify dashboards on customers to view your information. So the most helpful one I found is off of this little dial right here, which is the dashboard. So when I click on this, it's going to change everything around. It's going to take that data that's on the customer record and put it in a really lovely format for me, which gives me the ability to navigate as a sales rep much quicker and get the information I want on this customer much quicker than I used to be able to. So for a good example, it has its own dedicated KPI measurement. So it shows you for the customer that data for the year. It shows you your forecast for them for the year, the pipeline, the balance. So all of this information is available as a holistic view of all your customers under your home tab here. And it's available at the individual customer level so that you can track information relating to your specific customers very quickly. On the left-hand side, you have a default customer view, which is going to grab a bunch of the information in NetSuite if you have it populated and sort of combine it into ways that are helpful for you to look at. So from a sales rep perspective, I can see what's my outstanding AR balance, what's my overdue balance, how long has it been overdue. So all of this information can end up being very helpful to sales reps. So let's say that you're based on invoicing or cash paid, and you're wondering, hey, why is this lower than what it's supposed to be? Oh, let me look at my customer balances. Let me see who's overdue. Who do I need to help accounting and make a phone call to? And that's what you've got here. So other things here are quick reference sales reports. So show me their sales detail, show me their order detail. Again, different things than are in the KPIs, just more shortcuts, quicker, more detailed reports. And then as we come down here, we can see other dashboard-based information on this specific customer. We can look at their transactions in a very quick way. So if I want to see any, what are the invoices? I could just click here and it will give me all of their open invoices for the date range that I specify. This specific date range is October 22 to July 2023. And so you can see the different invoices that are available. Oh, we actually have a couple of invoices for them from the October of 2022 that are still open. Maybe someone missed that. Maybe I should follow up on that, etc. So we have a lot of really good information here, very quick to access for customers. Then if we think back to those tasks, those CRM activities, I can see here a summary of what calls do I have, what tasks do I have outstanding, what communication have I had with them. All of that, again, is right here on the customer-specific dashboard. We can also put in different metrics, show me what items they're buying the most, and again, specific customer related as opposed to holistic, which gives us a lot more knowledge than we might normally have in terms of what can I get this customer to buy? How do my upsells work? What extra data can I bring to the table during my next conversation? All of this is available at your fingertips. It's all native. It's all part of just how NetSuite as a system works. So let's go back to our main dashboard. So now that we've talked about the customer record itself, and we've talked about how we can view this information at the micro level, the individual account level, let's say that I want to see more information about my portfolio as a whole. So that's where these key performance indicators that NetSuite has come into play. Again, this particular sales role is set up as a manager, so it has my team's sales as opposed to my individual sales. But it comes in so I can see, hey, there's been 1.1 million in revenue this month versus 1.2 last month. So how am I doing month to month? If I had a quota set up for myself individually, how much have I sold versus how much I'm expected to sell? Open quotes, open opportunities, open leads, new leads. So if you're importing data into the system, you're purchasing lead lists, you're getting email marketing, you're getting online forms being filled out. All of that comes here to your dashboard as a rep where you can sort of see it. Most of the time, the My New Leads would have an activity in the reminder so that you knew, hey, I have a new lead I have to go follow up on. You can do things like create automation where when a new lead comes in, it creates that task, that activity. That's something that can be scripted to show up so that your sales reps get it in multiple different places that they need to take action. And it gives you a nice snapshot of your portfolio holistically that you can sort of customize based on any query in the system. So anything we want to put together, any save searches, anything that anybody else can do in NetSuite, we can take and give to sales reps and put on the dashboard. Coming down, we also have a slightly different metric. This is our sort of KPI scorecard. So this is more formula-based data that you can look at for sales, new sales, total number of orders, average deal size. Again, more data for your reps to know sort of what do I need to do for my day-to-day. Since we were just talking briefly about queries, this is a custom search that we've put together that I have used at a number of different clients. And this is my inventory available to sell. One of the frequent things that we heard as a common sales challenge is because systems are not always integrated in real time, when a sales rep is having a conversation and a customer says, hey, I need this kind of item. Well, we want to sell things that we have available, right? The goal would be to get it, fulfill it, give it to the customer very quickly. The quicker people get things, the happier they are. The less back orders, the less additional steps have to be taken, the easier our lives are. So this available to sell is a custom save search, right? NetSuite's querying tool that's been put together to show what inventory is available or when it will be available. So we have how much of this top item do we have on hand, how much of it has been placed on either a purchase order or a work order to build, and then how many have we already sort of committed on sales orders, so how many do we have available to sell. This is very helpful for sales reps because it tells you, oh, the client wants item XYZ. We are sort of far out. There's about 10,000 on order between purchase orders and our manufacturing time frame. So I have to communicate to the customer that this specific item might be a minute. But then I can use NetSuite to go find, are there similar items? Do I know of one SKU that I could potentially replace this with? Maybe I have more available to sell. I'm just going to look for its name real quick. And again, it's right here on my main page. So I can answer calls as they come in and get this information very quickly back to the customer. Then the other things we have on our dashboard are just really useful in terms of visualizing data. These days, people are really used to seeing data filtered and colored and quantified in different ways. So NetSuite has a lot of report snapshots, KPI meters. So this specific one that we've put sort of bigger is monthly sales trends. So if I want to see as a sales rep, hey, how have I been doing this year in terms of my volumes, in terms of my number of sales or number of items sold, I can put report trends. I can put things that management wants to see at sales fingertips so that they can access data, view data, track trends, and see how they're doing. This trend graph is really nice to show sort of, oh, I had a couple of dips, but, I can report back that, hey, since, the beginning of the year, we're up, $1 million in terms of what I've sold. Looking at some of the other visual reports we have, I have my team sales this month versus last month. So I can look at this really nice KPI meter and see, oh, we haven't quite hit last month yet, but we're on track, and look at how much, we're projected to be in the green. Top 5 items by quantity sold this quarter. So if I see this particular quarter, a certain item is selling across my portfolio at a really high rate, maybe I reach out to clients who haven't bought it and talk to them about it and just say, hey, you know, a lot of my clients are looking at this item this quarter. You know, is this item something that might be useful to you? So again, visual data that you can take an action on as a sales rep. So that is our dashboard. So let's talk now about leads and opportunities and how NetSuite's Salesforce automation works. So at its starting point, NetSuite works very similarly to how product companies have worked for a very long time when it comes to sales. We get a lead, we have negotiations with them, we project when they're going to purchase, what they're going to purchase, and then we track the probability of that as we have further conversations until we eventually close the customer. So NetSuite does that with the lead record. And we're going to come in here, we're going to take a look at all of the leads in the system. So we have, again, 41 leads in the system, and you can look at the different statuses here to show you what leads have been qualified and which ones haven't been qualified. The nice thing about NetSuite is that all of these statuses can be customized pretty significantly, just like most other CRM systems. So you can put in specific criteria of when do I move a lead from unqualified to, let's say it's been marketing qualified, versus, oh, I've moved this from marketing qualified, so an MQL to a sales qualified lead, SQL. Like I've had a conversation with them, they, you know, are interested, but we haven't really converted it down the pipeline to somebody who might buy something yet. So lots of different statuses we can put in place on a lead before we ever move it to a prospect. But let's take a look at one of these leads, and we're going to move it through the flow of how NetSuite works. So we have this lead, they're qualified. Let's say that, you know, what we do is we look, oh, it came in through a paid keyword search. This is Jessica's lead. We actually have an email. We have a good phone number. So yeah, this is a qualified lead. Great. So what other information do I have available to me? Well, we can put sort of anything we want to down here. So if it came from a specific campaign, I can see the lead source it came in from. Are they subscribed to any marketing campaigns? No, they're not. Okay. But, you know, they did actually look at this Yahoo keyword. I can look at, have I found any financial information from them? Do I have their tax number yet? Do I know what currencies they purchase in? All of that can come down here and be filtered in, which gives us the ability to know more as we move the client forward. But let's say that, okay, this is good, so I want to create an opportunity from them, which is going to move them to a prospect. So I'm going to come back to my dashboard. I'm going to use my tile just so that I can show how this would flow. I'm going to create a new opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose Central. That's who we were just looking at. And it's going to have pre-filled based on my company's settings on where this is going to sit once I create this opportunity. So we have our different opportunity statuses in discussion, identified decision makers, proposal, negotiation, purchasing, right? So these are all of our in progress sort of opportunity or prospect statuses. I can assign a probability to it. So each of these is going to have a pre-filled probability. So as an organization, when we define, you know, hey, at what stage in this do we want them to be forecasted, at what percentage, your status can automatically drive that, or we can add custom statuses. So let's say I want them at 55% after speaking with my manager. I can add any details, projected total, Anything else that I want, if I want it for a specific department or class, location, all of this will end up flowing to the transaction. So opportunities are very helpful because if we sort of pre-know accounting information during our negotiations, it's going to save us time when we go to actually process and close the order. So I'm going to choose my sales department. I'm going to choose, let's say, computer peripherals, and I want it out of the Boston location. We have the option to include it or not include it in the forecast type. This can be customized at an organization level. So one of the things I get asked a lot is, well, sales reps, don't really want to add things to their forecast until they're sure about it. Can we lock that down from a client level as our organization? And the answer is yes. We can dictate that it's always included. We can block this out so that the sales team can't adjust it. Or if you want your team to have some flexibility there, it can be left. But this is going to decide when I view my forecast reporting or my forecast versus quota, what gets included and what doesn't. Now, one of the great things about opportunity records in NetSuite is that they can work as transactions to the point where I can include items in my upfront negotiations, or I can just put in an expected dollar amount. So I think I'm going to end up selling these guys about 10 grand worth of stuff. Not 100% sure which items, but this is what they've told me their budget is. So I'm going to do what I can to get the items there. Or I leave this blank and I choose specific items. So when I pull up my item list, I can do just like I would on any sales order or invoice transaction, choose the items, add them down here, and then as we go through, so let's say I want to sell them, I'm going to look through my available quantity, and we're going to sell them this accessory, the power drive gantry crane, and I'm going to sell them 4 of these at $15.98. So anything I want to discuss or put in here in terms of specific items, I can, and it's going to pull that back up to my projected total. And then from a forecasting standpoint, you see it's going to auto-calculate my weighted total based on my status probability. So real-time forecasting at everyone's fingertips across NetSuite, which means that anyone in accounting that we give permissions to, anyone in executive leadership that we give permissions to, can all run these reports, can look at this information in real time, which helps eliminate the silos between different information platforms. So I'm going to save this opportunity, and I'm going to show you a couple of things that happen when we save an opportunity. Okay, so now we see my opportunities in progress. We have it linked to the customer. We've got this right here, and my item is still on it. So going back to my client, I can see it moved from a lead to a prospect. So the NetSuite Salesforce automation does a really good job of moving things from one state to another state as we follow the same chain, the sales chain, just like other CRM and SFA platforms would. Gives us the ability to look and say, oh, okay, show me leads. Those are people I haven't negotiated with versus prospects, right? Opportunities available to close. So let's say that it's been a little bit, and now that client has said that they want to order from me. Well, okay, they called in. How do I find that? Okay, I'm going to come to sales. Oh, here's my opportunity. And I'm going to click on my opportunity just to refresh my memory. Okay, so all my information's here. They came back. They do want to buy 4 of these. So I am now ready to do this as a sales order. And there's a few different ways that we can do this, right? One is that we could go back to our homepage, we could create a sales order from scratch, find the opportunity, link it directly, etc. But that's going to take a lot of time. And as we know, the goal in sales is to convert as quickly as possible. So my little tab here is going to have some things that I can create new directly off of this transaction. So if I wanted to, let's say, email this to them again, if I wanted to create a PDF of this to send them, if I wanted to create a phone call or a task to follow up about it, again, I could do all of that from here. But I want to convert this to a sales order. So I'm going to click on that sales order, and it is going to pull up the sales order form for me. It's going to pull in the date based on today's date. It's going to pull in my customer. If I had put in any of these other fields on the opportunity, it would pull these all in. But you can see it pulled the department, the class, the location. It pulled in my lead source. Again, that's what we talked about, where we can view direct ROI from a lead record, right? It pulls all of this information for me, and it's also going to auto-link the opportunity and tell me it's created from, which builds a chain for any team that comes after me to go back through and audit this all the way back to the first conversations we had and we logged. Now, it also, again, pulled in my item from the opportunity, so I don't need to spend extra time in terms of finding things from my product catalog or typing in pricing, because I've done all of that previously. You can also see it does still have my available. Have I committed any on here? When is it due by? Right? Everything that would potentially be filtered from your manufacturing, from your accounting team, that all gets auto-populated here. So all you have to worry about is hitting save and having the order entered into the system. And then again, since this is NetSuite, it's your ERP system, this goes directly to anybody who needs to see an order to fulfill. So we don't have to file a ticket to go to item fulfillment. We don't have to create an email and send it to our manufacturing folks. Anything that they have built in NetSuite to identify what needs to be built, what needs to be fulfilled, is all taken care of once I save the sales order. So it limits time in terms of fulfillment. It limits time in terms of, hey, do they even know that I've sold something to the client? It gives management and accounting and executive visibility into, like, hey, we closed an order today, sort of immediately. All of that is done immediately in real time. There's no need for an integration. Nothing's done in batch, right? So this is sold, and then again, I have the link to my customer record. I can click back, and you'll see it moved from a prospect to a closed customer. So it sort of got rid of the probability, right? It marked them as closed won, and it added extra transactions in here so I can see, oh, this has actually been done as a sales order. All right. So then going back, we go back to our homepage, order's done, took me, 10 minutes to walk through that entire process. And now I can keep going on with my day, having now just added an extra, 6 or 7K into my order quota for the rest of the month. So that is sort of the basic crash course on leveraging dashboards and NetSuite SFA to increase your sales effectiveness. And I will hand it back to you, Brooke.
Great, thanks, Randy. I know we are pressed here on time, so just a couple quick things before we let everyone go and open it up for any questions if anybody has any. I just wanted to quickly talk through our NetSuite user pricing. So NetSuite recently released some new user pricing, and these are kind of specialized users. So that is making any sort of CRM, WMS, things like that a little bit more cost effective now for teams that are wanting to leverage what we have at hand. So NetSuite has released 3 specialized user pricing. One is view and approve access. So that's, you can buy a 5-pack at the list price of $150. So that's before any sort of discounting or whatever discounting you have already built into your contract. CRM user access at $89 a user, and then WMS user access at $99 a user. So that's some pretty cost-effective pricing there for teams looking to leverage, obviously in this case, CRM. Previously, you had to buy a full NetSuite user license for that, and it didn't really make it super effective for teams to be able to jump in full feet ahead for CRM. So this definitely allows teams a little bit more flexibility when wanting to use the free CRM tool that's built into NetSuite. So if you have any questions about that user pricing or want to get a quote spun up, let us know. And finally, we will open it up to some questions and answers. So there is a question button in the top of your screen there. And if you have any questions, please let us know. So I'll wait a second here while some come in. Okay, here is one here for you, Randy. And it looks like we probably just have time for one question here. So I'll just answer this one or put this one question in. Okay, so if I don't use quotes or opportunities, can I still use NetSuite CRM?
Okay, that's a great question, and one I oftentimes get asked. A lot of customers these days use EDI or web ordering for the bulk of their orders, and so we don't really have negotiation time frames any longer. NetSuite CRM works very well in those situations. It would sort of just skip the manually creating opportunities. If we have a lead come in, let's say, or a prospect come in, and we direct them to an ordering channel, it would just skip the opportunity step. And when they placed an order through one of our ordering channels, it would convert them from a lead or a prospect into a customer. NetSuite, if the transaction comes in and it's linked to a lead, can even skip all of the manual steps. And when it sees an order, it will convert it from a lead into a customer. And you can even skip the lead aspect. So if we have, let's say we're B2B or B2C, we have people who might log into a Shopify site or a big commerce site, place an order, that would come directly into NetSuite and it would create that customer record. So there are a number of different ways to leverage EDI or web-based systems to skip the lead stages, skip the opportunity stages from either automation or manually.
Great, thanks, Randy. And if there's any other questions that come through, please just send an email over. Feel free to email me and I can pass that along to Randy and we can get those questions answered. All right, well, as we close out this training here, I'm launching a poll so that you can give us some feedback here. We want to make sure that these training sessions are beneficial to all of the companies that we are working with. And thank you for joining us today for our CRM training. If you are interested in learning more about CRM, please reach out to your account manager and we can help you get some more information on that, on CRM and the training. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have a few upcoming Lux University training sessions that are specifically for this fall, and then we will release our winter series coming up right after this. So stay tuned for some more information on the training. And if there's a training that your team might be interested in or something specific that you might have had questions about, please put that training session in the poll that we just dropped into the chat. And we will do our best to get some of those training sessions addressed. All right, thank you everyone and have a wonderful day.